You may be asking yourself, why did they hire him? You're not alone. This is a joke. Who can tell Jerry Jones this was a horrible idea? Your bad offensive coordinator will not make a better head coach than Mike McCarthy. If I'm Dak Prescott, if I'm CeeDee Lamb, if I'm Micah Parsons, I am calling Jerry Jones and saying, get me off of this team. Okay. It is Tuesday, January 28th. We discuss all the head coach introductions from yesterday in the NFL. Jimmy Butler was suspended by the Heat indefinitely, so we have more from that saga to discuss. And we talk about comments made by Jose Altuve. This is the Early Game Podcast. Listen to the show in the mornings, on your commute, whenever and wherever, so you can be a part of today's sports conversations. Let's go. Okay, let's jump right into it. We had, I think, 5 introductions yesterday. 5 head coach introductions, 4 head coach introductions. And we're going to start out with the New York Jets. This is a team we've been speaking about a ton over the past couple weeks. I spoke about how they had Aaron Glenn and Lance Newmark in the building. They wanted to get it done. A deal with the two of them. Ultimately, they got one done with Aaron Glenn. They ended up moving on to Darren Mougey and ended up hiring him as their GM. Spoke really well. There's not much more he's able to do in an introductory press conference. He thanked God. He thanked his family. All good stuff. He was inspirational. He said, put your seatbelts on. Get ready to go. He even cursed a little bit. He said freaking, but then he cursed. Aaron Glenn was really motivational. He had me ready to run through a brick wall. He spoke about learning from Sean Payton and learning about consistent winning. That's what I want to hear as a Jets fan. Consistent winning. Building a way that this team can consistently win and consistently be in the playoff conversation. It takes a certain insane kind of guy to want to coach for Woody Johnson. And I think that as insane as Aaron Glenn might be, I think he might be the right guy. And I think he might be the right guy to take them in the right direction. One of the things I found interesting was Glenn was clearly the one who leaked the information that he wanted to come into the building and leave with an agreement. He said as much in the press conference. He admitted to that. I truly believe him when he said he wanted the job. He was also talking about how it was always the job he wanted, how he told other teams afterwards that he wasn't going to take their job. I truly believe this was the job he wanted. But again, I think about a certain kind of crazy you need to be if you're going to work with Woody Johnson. He may be the guy. Now, the thing that makes me nervous is that Woody Johnson also revealed that there's going to be a new management structure where Mougey and Aaron Glenn will both report to him. Woody, you need to be hands off. He should not be screwing this up. Again, I think at least with Glenn, they got the right guy. But it never ends well when the owner is this involved. But really, the thing is that as much as Aaron Glenn was impressive, that does not matter. Everybody could be all talk. You gotta talk you can't just talk the talk, you gotta walk the walk. Because I think that's how the saying goes. And the thing that would make me nervous as Jets fans is when you get excited about these head coaches. Robert Saleh, people were excited about. I think Adam Gase was the most universally known call that was a bad call at the time. It might now be second. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But he has to figure out a way to not just be all talk here. He needs to find a way, Aaron Glenn needs to find a way to make sure that this team is going to be able to win. And not just be another one of those head coaches who comes in, wins 7 to 10 games a year, fizzles out, gets fired after 4 years. Consistent winning. He spoke about consistent winning. And the Jets are most certainly going to have to find a way to win consistently. Okay, let's move on. So, the next introduction we'll discuss is Liam Coen was introduced to Jacksonville Jaguars media as the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look, let's put all the drama of the last week aside. Let's forget about the fact that he left the Bucs at the altar, that he ghosted them from agreeing to an extension. Liam Coen will have a better chance at winning in Jacksonville than he will as the offensive coordinator with the Bucs. I'm confident in that. As much as I love Baker Mayfield, as much as I appreciate what Baker Mayfield has been able to accomplish since joining the Bucs, Trevor Lawrence has the brighter future. In my eyes, Trevor Lawrence is still untapped potential. He's yet to be paired with the right head coach to bring him to the right level we all think he can be. And in a league that for the most part requires a star quarterback at the quarterback position to win, I think that Jacksonville is set up better in that regard than the Bucs are. There are obviously a few There are obviously a few exceptions. There are non-star quarterbacks that go on runs. But when you look at what the Chiefs have been able to do, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, these teams, especially in recent memory, have needed a star quarterback. So with all that in mind, this was a good opportunity for Liam Coen. Again, set aside the mess that is Shahid Khan as an owner. Liam Coen finds himself as the head coach of a team with, as I said, a very promising young quarterback. Shahid Khan aside. He finds himself in a division that never quite seems to have a team that runs away with it. And so I think Coen sees this as an opportunity to establish himself in an organization which has been down bad for a few years now. He can pair up with Trevor Lawrence. He can look to be a perennial threat in the AFC South. Now, the issue really lies in the fact that the AFC has three or four of the best quarterbacks in their conference. Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow. That's not even talking about CJ Stroud. Took a step back, but I think he'll take a step back forward. So it's going to be very tough hill for Liam Coen to conquer if he wants to try to win a Super Bowl with Jacksonville. And let alone just winning the conference with Jacksonville. But again, with your first head coach opportunity, I think this is the type of situation you look for. One with a quarterback as promising as Trevor Lawrence. Now the question becomes, can he overcome the clown show that is Shahid Khan and Jaguars ownership? And time will tell with that. Side note, go watch the video from that introduction yesterday. He says Duval. It almost makes me want to take back everything I just said. It was cringy. It was horrible. He just kind of looked. I hope he has a better presence on the sideline. He looked so awkward during that intro. The suit didn't fit right. He had a weird look in his eye. I don't know. He needs those sunglasses on that when he's on the sideline. Thankfully he's in Jacksonville, so he'll need sunglasses. He just seemed like such a dork. Okay, let's move on. Another intro from yesterday was Pete Carroll on the Las Vegas Raiders. So this hiring happened on Friday. We haven't been able to speak about it on this show. They also introduced John Spytek. And boy, was I so wrong about the Raiders head coach search. First, let's just get this out of the way. It was doubled down yesterday that Tom Brady is running the show for the Raiders. He is making the decisions. Every outlet was reporting that. I said several times that Tom Brady is unqualified to run a team, which he is. I still think that. Coming into this, he was unqualified to run a team. But boy, did he have a nice first run of it. Now, I criticized him for hiring John Spytek. I thought this was going to be just Tom Brady hiring his guy. Spytek was an assistant GM with the Bucs when Brady was there. But Brady flat out hit a home run with the Pete Carroll hire. He is just so perfect for the Raiders. I've spoken about Carroll in the context of the Bears head coach search and how I felt like the Bears needed a big boy in the room. Pete Carroll could come in and bring some stability, bring some normalcy. So many organizations can use normalcy. And so the Raiders get that benefit. And what I like about Pete is he has shown he could be successful without a star quarterback. Yes, he had Russell Wilson for so long with the Seahawks, but he also was successful for a few years with Geno. And so now in Las Vegas, where the quarterback is uncertain, he can try to build this team back up for a few years. And I think it's the worst kept secret that in 4 to 5 years from now, he is going to move on. He is going to ride away into the sunset, give this team probably off to some young coordinator that he brings up with him. You know something else I love? I love how Tom Brady really stayed out of the spotlight throughout this whole process. Yes, everybody was talking about the fact that he is running the show. But really, he did a nice job staying low-key even though he was calling the shots. Did you ever think Mark Davis would seem like a normal owner? I mean, it's crazy. What they have going on there, it seems normal. And so now they have a situation to figure out. They don't have a quarterback. They have work to do. But Pete Carroll seems like the kind of guy who can figure those things out. I think this was an awesome hire. I really thought, going into this coaching cycle, I really thought that the slam dunk hire for any of these teams, because none of these teams are really functional at the moment. I think every team that needed a new head coach was pretty much in some sort of dysfunction. And so Pete Carroll ends up being, to me, maybe the best hire. Yeah, you know what? I'll go as far as to say that. I think Pete Carroll is an even better hire than Mike Vrabel is for New England. And it's because there is a guarantee for me. I feel the most confident with Pete Carroll being able to be successful in what he's trying to do with the Raiders. I'm more confident in that than Vrabel in New England. And the reason is simple. The Patriots are still trying to figure out life post Bill Belichick. As good as Mike Vrabel was with the Titans, and as promising as he is as a head coach with the Patriots, there is still unknown for how that team will operate post Bill Belichick. They're still trying to figure that out. I think that the structure for the Raiders is much more clear. And I think Pete Carroll will be able to accomplish what he is setting out to do better than Vrabel will. Okay, let's move on. We had another head coach introduction, and this I think was the last one. This was the craziest one of them all. The Dallas Cowboys introduced Brian Schotteinheimer as their new head coach. Side point, I'm glad we get to say Schotteinheimer again a lot. That is such a fun football name. This one had everyone scratching their head. The news also came out over the weekend. We didn't discuss it last week. Schotteinheimer was previously the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys, who, by the way, he was the offensive coordinator. They were 16th in the league in yards per game, 21st in the league in points per game. So you may be asking yourself, why did they hire him? You're not alone. This is a joke. Who can tell Jerry Jones this was a horrible idea? Your bad offensive coordinator will not make a better head coach than Mike McCarthy. If I'm Dak Prescott, if I'm CeeDee Lamb, if I'm Micah Parsons, I am calling Jerry Jones and saying, get me off of this team. Trade me. My goodness. You're supposed to be the crown jewel of NFL franchises. You have been a colossal failure forever. And your solution to all the problems is Brian Schotteinheimer? Because he's Marty's son? It's a sick joke. And Jerry Jones, sitting next to Schotteinheimer, shoulder to shoulder, said, I know how big of a risk this is. You aren't in a position to take a risk. If Andy Reid decided to retire this offseason, the Chiefs would be in a position to take a risk for their next head coach. You don't have that luxury. And look, speaking of the Chiefs, they're officially America's team. Dallas Cowboys are no longer in that conversation. And the thing that I was thinking about when they made the Schotteinheimer hire, what happened to Dion? At least Dion has had success at a head coaching level. Being the head coach of Colorado, he's had some sort of success there. He knows what it's like to be, a cowboy, and he knows what it's like to be in an era where being a cowboy meant more. So what happened that Brian Schotteinheimer blew away Jerry Jones, blew away the Dallas Cowboys, that he is their next head coach? The whole thing makes no sense at all. When you have a team like the Cowboys who performed so poorly, you are trying to stick away at all costs from anything that was associated with that team. So how come now they decided it's a good idea to go hiring Brian Schotteinheimer? I'll ask this. Is it just because Marty's his dad? Is that the only reason why? Do you think that means anything? Is he going to bring Marty Schotteinheimer in to coach with him? I spoke before about how when the Jets introduced Adam Gase, everybody knew it was a bad hire. Everybody at the time said, this is bad. Unless you were under some spell that Peyton Manning's recommendation meant anything. Adam Gase made no sense. And at least Adam Gase had head coach experience. Brian Schotteinheimer has none. It is perplexing. I cannot rationalize it one bit. And again, the fact that Jerry Jones is sitting there saying, well, I know how risky this is. I don't care how risky it is. Don't go trying to appease me by saying you're taking a risk. That's the most ridiculous line I've ever heard. Jerry Jones, don't try to play the victim here. Oh, everyone's been telling you need to take risks, so here you are taking risks. My goodness. Again, we can come back to this in a long time from now. Next year, we can revisit this a year from now. If this show's still happening, we can revisit this. Ask ourselves, did we know at the time, were we right at the time? Was I right at the time that this is so obviously a horrible hire? You know what? Here's my prediction. A year from now, we'll be having this same conversation. The Cowboys will be looking for another head coach a year from now. That is my prediction. And the circus that is the Cowboys will continue for another year. I promise you, next season, I am picking the Cowboys to finish dead last in the NFC East. Book it. Write it down somewhere. Okay, let's move on. I wanted to give one last reflection on the Chiefs-Bills game from Sunday. I had a whole day to reflect on that game. This one just really stings, and I need to use this as an opportunity to vent a little bit. First, I'm going to take back one thing I said. I said Dalton Kincaid should have made that catch on 4th and 5. And looking at it again, he was coming back to the ball. I think it was a very tough catch. It was catchable. Yes, was definitely catchable. But can you get upset that he didn't catch it? I don't think so. I just cannot believe still some of those calls which were made. The first was the Xavier Worthy catch that was reviewed. The review clearly showed the ball hit the ground. It is infuriating that they were unable to make that call with review. And the common theme, and this is what I realized yesterday, was that all these calls went the Chiefs' way on the field. When it was bang, bang, the play, and we needed an initial call, it went the Chiefs' way. And then the refs can't commit to the clear evidence that they were wrong about being being conclusive. So I thought back to the play when the Bills were up 22-21, and Kincaid reaches out to get the first down. And on replay, he clearly had the first down. But they called him short, and this was 3rd down, and they wanted to get to the line fast. So you're not going to challenge that play because you're trying to get to the line, and run the QB sneak as fast as you can. So again, making that call on the field so egregiously wrong, it hurts them. And then it happened again the next play. Josh Allen clearly got the first down. Look at the replay. And not only did they not call on the field, somehow they couldn't call it with the replay. Looking back, the thing that I think was spoken about yesterday, from the media that I was seeing, was just that, how come none of these calls initially went the Bills' way? A lot of them were toss-ups for the naked eye. Then a lot of them, upon review, should have been overturned. Okay, that was just my little rant. I needed to get that off my chest. And it seems to all be for Taylor Swift. We need to see Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl. And NFL, you get what you want. Taylor Swift's going to be there. You're going to get your Kelsey Bowl 2.0. I'm sure that'll be the narrative. Oh, we get to see Jason Kelsey and Travis Kelsey, even though Jason Kelsey is retired. He's in media. I'm sure that'll be covered a ton. We'll get the Taylor Swift again. I get it. Great. We got Eagles Chiefs. Fun. Okay. Let's move on. Sorry about that. Let's go to the NBA. We've been talking about Jimmy Butler ever since the first show I ever recorded. And yesterday, the Miami Heat suspended Jimmy Butler indefinitely. They came out with a statement. The Miami Heat are suspending Jimmy Butler without any pay, effective immediately, for an indefinite period to last no fewer than 5 games. The suspension is due to a continued pattern of disregard of team rules, engaging in conduct detrimental to the team, and intentionally withholding services. This includes walking out of practice earlier today. This whole thing is so exhausting. Look, good for Pat Riley sticking to your ground, sticking to your guns. I will reiterate what I've said since the very first time we spoke about this. What team in their right mind wants Jimmy Butler? Who wants that locker room disease? If I even hear one rumor about the Knicks wanting Jimmy Butler, I will lose my mind. This stuff keeps happening, and it hurts him. Yes, there will be a team that takes him. I'm very confident in that. But still, it comes with a bad reputation. It comes with teammates not knowing what they're getting when Jimmy Butler walks through the door. I think his trade value has clearly gone down. I don't even have to think that. That's just fact. And again, I'm not sure what respectable franchise in the NBA wants to take on someone like Jimmy Butler who's acting so selfishly and so in only his own interests? Okay, let's move on. One last story here. Let's move on to baseball. And so, yesterday, in the last couple of days, ever since the Astros traded Ryan Presley to the Cubs, talk has increased about Alex Bregman and reunion with the Houston Astros. And so yesterday, Jose Altuve came out and said he would be willing to change positions if it means bringing Bregman back. Right now, Isaac Paredes, he is lined up to be the third baseman for the Astros. And look, I cannot believe that these rumors are happening. I cannot believe that Alex Bregman might be back with the Astros. You know the thing that I cannot believe more? How are the Detroit Tigers messing this up so badly? The AL right now is a joke. Every player, every free agent has signed with an NL team for the most part. The NL teams are the ones making moves. The Tigers, if they added Alex Bregman, they'd be a top team in the AL, I think. It's that easy. It's that simple. Add a guy like Alex Bregman to your team if you're the Detroit Tigers. You're in the conversation as one of the best teams in the AL. The unwillingness for these American League teams to make substantial moves and improvements to their team is something I've never seen before. Look, I get it. The Yankees are great. And then after that, it's a little foggy. I think you have the other teams in the AL East who are going to be really good. The Astros will be good. Besides for that, yeah, you have the Tigers and you have the Guardians, but neither of them has done anything to impress me this offseason. The Tigers could have fixed all that with one move. Here we are, though, and it seems like Bregman will probably end up going back to the Astros. That's what it feels like right now. Okay, that's a show. Tomorrow we'll discuss any big stories in sports. No big games tonight, so we'll see what happens. Make sure you're following us. Make sure you're following Early Game on X, on YouTube. Subscribe, like, comment, follow on Spotify. This is the Early Game Podcast. Have an amazing day.